Welcome to Healthy Vegan Living. My name's Gary. Yes, this is a podcast.
Welcome to Healthy Vegan Living, a whole food, plant-based lifestyle.
Alright, so I had the idea of coming up with a podcast for my YouTube channel. A way to be able to kind of share some more interpersonal things about myself, my vegan lifestyle, veganism in general, the stuff that I don't discuss in my YouTube channel. So I've created already 2 podcasts. They're not out yet, but they will be soon. And I'm going to share number 1 with you until I figure out what the heck I'm doing. Now, it took me about a year to find a solution of how exactly I wanted to have my YouTube channel. I wanted to have a little bit of an idea of what the beginning of the video said, whether it was about cookies, baking, product review, whatever. Whether I wanted my basenjis or whatever I wanted. And after that, I add what I call a splash, where I said, Healthy Vegan Living. And then after that, I went into the meat of the story, where I either made bread or whatever I did. And at the very end, I'd say, thank you so much for watching Healthy Vegan Living. Please subscribe, blah, all that stuff. Well, it's going to take just as much time to figure out how to do a podcast. And though I could read a dozen more books, and I probably would be reading and paying attention to many more podcasts, I'm still trying to refine who I am. So the very first one, it's going to be different than the original podcast. And it may not be. I'm going to read you what I had planned, because in a podcast you're not seeing like an action. What you're doing is, so this mess you see in front of me is basically my notes. This is my camera batteries, which I found out that 2 of them were dead. I gotta buy more batteries. Put them over here. This is my charger that TJ is holding on to. I don't have, for say, a place to do my podcast. What I've been doing is practicing on my iPhone. It's an iPhone 13 Pro. And what I've been doing is basically talking into the iPhone and trying to understand, does this work? And so I'm going to do episode number 1 with you. So you don't get to see this because in a podcast, there's no paper, there's no picture, which is why my future podcasts, I'll be doing this, talking on a microphone, not an iPhone. No, that's perfectly fine, but I mean, and then slowly transitioning to a real microphone and next to my computer. I just don't have that space right now. I have to create it in my own. All right, so here goes. I hope you enjoy it. Welcome to the Healthy Vegan Living podcast, my first episode. On this podcast, you will encounter, plus more, who I am and why I'm vegan. So number 1 is where I'm really listing you everything that's going to be in the podcast. And number 2 is going to be exactly that one I just told you, why am I vegan? And 3 is the different types of plant-based lifestyle. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, there's different doctors who have different beliefs in the plant-based world. And it just depends who you follow. I follow Dr. McDougall, who does the starch solution, and this is a diet that I've learned to enjoy. But there's other doctors who do plant-based lifestyles that are slightly different. For example, some of them allow oil. Our starch solution doesn't really allow oil. It's not that they don't allow it, it's just they explain to you that the more oil you ingest, the more of it lands over here, around your waist or wherever. That's what I mean by that. How and why I started on YouTube. Okay, so the real reason for that is really simple. In 2017, it was my very, very first time being vegan. And I knew that if I did not post a video or create batch cooking, which I didn't know what that even meant back then, or something like that, I would not stay. I would just go back to the old carnivore, omnivore lifestyle that I had before for 63 years. So I decided I'd create a YouTube channel just for that. And I think it turned out pretty good. My camera, my equipment, my software. Alright, so I do now have a professional Canon 80D, but I didn't start off that way. When I first started, I had a point and shoot water camera. I learned to do more. Now I have a professional tripod with a professional camera, which is what you're watching me on right now. My software is Pinnacle. It's a professional editing software. And there's a lot of my equipment. I use daylight for my light, or I use any local light fixture that's near me. But most of the time it's daylight. Okay, so I say, I create my recipes, the secret. Okay, the secret is really simple. Any recipe, all recipes are basically copyrighted because someone created that. But the recipe itself isn't copyrighted. Did you get that? What's copyrighted is how you make it. So I took this piece of bread and I put it on top of a plate, and the plate went into the oven. Exactly those words are copyrighted. My exercise program. Alright, so in the past 2 years I've been doing yoga. And that has been amazing for me to keep my sanity. Exercise helps you with that. Now, does it help you diet? Not really. But eating is the process to diet. You'll learn about that later. My failed diets. I'm telling you, I've done over 20 different diets, and I'll be explaining those. Pantry options. Every vegan has certain things they need to have in their pantry. Restaurant options. Well, there's only 2 restaurants in our area that have fabulous food for vegans. Thai cuisine. There's many different places that have, and that's what that one podcast is going to be about. Okay, what works for me for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? And how do I continue losing weight? Well, snacks that are healthy and so forth. And that's what that podcast is going to be about. Along the way, I'm going to show you people on YouTube that I admire that have continued the cause, the vegan cause, and podcasters I'm getting and learning to understand how to do podcasting from, and how they present and that's what I'm going to do on this podcast. My business cards. You guys already know about my business cards. What I do with my business cards is I print about 5 boxes of these things. They're red, they say YouTube on them, they capture healthy vegan living, and they have my phone number, and on the very bottom they have my YouTube address. And that's really important because it gives me a chance to say, hey, did you know I'm vegan? And I give them this card, and some of them check me out, and some of them register with me. In this case, I mean subscribe with me, and others just look at it, and it's really helped my view count. And that's one way, which is why I'm doing this podcast, because I want to be able to have more people listen to my message, more people seeing my recipes, and more people just saying hello to me. I must have like 60, and that's probably on the short side, cookbooks that I truly love and I go back to for inspiration. Movies. I have watched many good vegan movies and many bad ones. They're all good. They all put out the message, the vegan message. But not all of them are fun or easy to watch, especially when they're slaughtering chickens and what they do to insemination and things like that for people to get milk. I like some of them. I don't really like to see too much violence, maybe because for the first 63 years of my life, I was eating meat. I didn't know any better. It was in a styrofoam container, it was at the store, it was easy to buy. Now it's a different situation, I know better. Do I do it for the animals? At the beginning I did not do it for the animal, I did it for my health. But as time goes along, the vegan lifestyle, it does touch you. You do think, well, should I really be wearing leather shoes or a leather belt? I don't wear a leather belt. I have one of these plastic things. I don't wear leather shoes. I have one pair that I've had for 10 years. I am very careful in what I wear because I don't want to have any pain or suffering. Now, I know that just me, if it was just one me into a billion people, that might not make that much difference. But if 10 me's or 20 me's exponentially increase, it could be a movement of me's out there, and maybe it might make a small difference. That's what this video is about. That's what all of the videos, all the people who are vegan, who go out there and make videos, they're hoping that you'll be able to read and understand what they're trying to say. which in this case is be vegan. Okay, the protein question. As soon as you tell someone you're vegan, and I do mean instantly, they will be the authoritative person in your family that will double check you, whether you know where your protein is, whether you know where you get your minerals is, whether you're getting your B12. That's really important. And yes, like B12 is used for making muscles, but honestly, come on now. These are the same people that go and have 5 or 6 Big Macs at McDonald's, or eat 6 or 7 pizzas at all the pizza places. They are not anyway nutritionists, but they'll be nutritionists when they find out you become vegan. They will be worried about your intake. I'm going to give you a sample food list. If you've been following me as long as you have, you probably have seen some of the foods I've taken. I've done several videos where I've shown an entire week's worth of the foods I eat, morning, lunch, and dinner. I'll be doing that again. Also, at the very end, I'm going to do what they call a reboot. So the Vegan Society Challenge is 30 days. And it takes a omnivore, which I'm not exactly an omnivore anymore, and slowly you learn the vegan lifestyle, how to eat correctly, how to balance things out. And in the process of doing it, I'll probably lose a little weight. I'm hoping so. And I'll be staying very strict vegan, following the Vegan Society. And we'll just see. It'll be kind of a fun, interesting podcast. I'll be able to say part 1, part 2, part 3, part 2025. I hope not that many. And you'll be able to see my transition. Okay, so you all know I'm 71 years old. I started being a vegan much later in life. Most people who are vegan, they start at 20 or 30 or even 40. They still have a long, long breadth of time to be able to see what they're going to get out of it. There's a lot that I've gotten from this diet. For example, I don't have age spots. My skin is so much clearer than what it was when I first started. I do have arthritis because I've always worked with my hands, but my arthritis is a lot less than a person who doesn't eat plants and vegetables and fruit. And I have more energy. I sleep better at night because I weigh less. I don't have sleep apnea. I mean, the list continues. I have better heart. I have low blood pressure. I exercise, of course, that helps. I'm not diabetic. I mean, the list just keeps on going of why the advantage of being vegan. But this is just an introduction. Thank you so much for watching me. Come and see episode 2. And episode 2 is going to be about who am I, why I'm vegan. And explains to you my story of what happened to me and what helped me become vegan. Bye-bye now.